Porsche drift disaster. In an attempt to show off, a Porsche driver tried to execute a dramatic drift maneuver. The result? A complete fail. Instead of a clean slide, the car slammed into a parked vehicle, causing significant damage to both. If you're going to spend $150,000 on a luxury vehicle, maybe enroll in a few driving lessons before attempting stunts. Semi-truck mayhem in Iowa. A quiet highway in Iowa became the scene of a heart-pounding moment when a semi-truck driver failed to spot a sedan in the adjacent lane. The massive truck sideswiped the smaller vehicle, sending it skidding across the highway. The sedan spun out, landing directly in front of our submitter's Chevy Bolt EUV. With no time to react, the Bolt crashed into the sedan, causing $12,000 in damages. The semi-truck, however, walked away with just a few scratches. Despite the chaotic crash, no one sustained serious injuries. It's a chilling reminder of the risks we all face when driving near large vehicles. Mario's wife and the rogue lane change. Mario's wife was driving to school, calmly waiting for her turn at an intersection. In front of her, the driver of a Nissan Rogue suddenly veered into another lane without warning. This reckless decision forced a Toyota Tacoma to swerve violently into the median to avoid a collision. The Tacoma driver narrowly escaped what could have been a serious crash, but seemed to pursue the Rogue afterward. The incident serves as a powerful reminder to always check your surroundings. One careless move can endanger everyone on the road. Daniel's Mercedes mishap. Daniel was driving his brand new Mercedes E350, proud of his recent purchase, when his day took a sharp turn for the worse. Another driver, unlicensed, uninsured, and not even wearing a seatbelt, recklessly pulled out in front of him. The two cars collided, and although Daniel escaped with minor injuries, his 5-month-old Mercedes now needs $5,400 in repairs. His insurance company is covering the costs, but the experience was a sobering reminder of the unpredictability of other drivers on the road. Infiniti driver's costly mistake. Hemming had been keeping an eye on an aggressive Infiniti driver, weaving through traffic like a video game character. The Infiniti eventually cut off a Ford Explorer, but this time, the tables turned. The Ford Explorer was an unmarked police car, and within moments, the officer had the reckless driver pulled over. Hemming watched in satisfaction as the Infiniti driver faced the consequences of their actions. It's always satisfying to see karma strike in real time. Van's sidewalk escape. Lawrence was recording with his dash cam when he witnessed a van driver narrowly avoid a catastrophic crash. The van had been following a Mazda 3 too closely and nearly rear-ended it when the traffic suddenly slowed. In a desperate move, the van swerved onto the sidewalk, narrowly missing pedestrians and avoiding a disaster. Ironically, the back of the van bore a sign claiming it was a phone-free vehicle. Lawrence couldn't help but wonder if distractions, perhaps from a phone, were actually to blame. A truck clips. A Mercedes in New Zealand. Roy was driving through a narrow street in New Zealand when he witnessed a truck trying to squeeze past a Mercedes. The truck driver clearly underestimated the width of his vehicle, clipping the side of the Mercedes in the process. The submitter didn't share what happened next, but it's safe to assume that the truck driver had some explaining to do. Driving on tight streets requires patience, precision, and a little more spatial awareness than this. Motorcyclist's meltdown. A submitter was driving under the warm glow of the setting sun, trying to navigate through traffic when two motorcyclists came speeding up behind him. Angry at an earlier lane change, one biker made his feelings known by flipping him off and swerving aggressively. The tension escalated when the biker attempted to slap the car window, causing him to nearly lose control of his bike. Despite the driver's apologetic gestures, the motorcyclist's frustration only grew before he eventually sped off, leaving the driver shaken by the encounter. Lucas's rainy night rear end. Lucas was driving home after picking up his roommate from work on a rainy evening when traffic suddenly came to a halt. He managed to stop just in time, but the car behind him wasn't as lucky and rear-ended his vehicle. Thankfully, there were no injuries, and Lucas's car only sustained minor damage. Even so, the incident serves as a reminder to keep a safe distance, especially in bad weather conditions. Michaela's highway nightmare. Michaela was on a peaceful drive through Grand Rapids, Michigan, in her Volkswagen Golf when a routine trip turned into a life-altering moment. A pickup truck driver, in a rush to avoid a stopped car, veered into the next lane without checking for other vehicles. The move caused a chain reaction. A minivan was cut off and smashed into the back of the pickup, rolling over from the force. The pickup spun out of control, crossing directly into Michaela's lane. With no time to react, her car collided head-on with the pickup. The sound of crunching metal and screeching tires filled the air, but against all odds, there were no serious injuries. Michaela's car, the minivan, and the pickup were completely totaled, serving as a stark reminder of how quickly lives can change on the road. Simon's suspicious Porsche encounter. Simon was headed home from work in his Audi Q3, cruising at a steady pace, when he noticed a Porsche rapidly approaching in his rearview mirror. The driver, seemingly impatient, darted dangerously close to his car. Suddenly, the Porsche slammed into Simon's vehicle, leaving both cars mangled and undrivable. What happened next raised even more eyebrows. The Porsche driver blamed the blinding sun for her reckless speed, but her actions told a different story. Shortly after the crash, her mother and friends arrived on the scene with a tow truck, trying to get Simon's details and leave before the police arrived. Sensing something wasn't right, Simon insisted they wait. When the officers showed up, they tested the Porsche driver for alcohol, and she was immediately arrested. Simon walked away with moderate whiplash and a new resolve to replace his Audi with a Tesla.